Welcome to the Rex Andrews Show. If you are a first-time listener, we're glad you found us. We're excited to have you in the conversation. Don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to comment. We love the interaction. And if you are a returning user, I'm sorry, one more mention of this. We recently found that we have cracked the top 10 fastest growing podcasts out there. And that's all because of you. That's a pretty amazing feat that you've helped us accomplish because there's over 1 million podcasters in the iTunes store. So in combination with you and great guests, we're crushing it. So I've got a great guest today, but before we get to that, quick house cleaning, the normal stuff. Don't forget to subscribe. Now we are on just about every podcasting platform you can find, a little over 20 of them. So if you don't like the one you're on, hop on another. You can also find us on most of the major social media platforms, YouTube channel. And then what I like to recommend people do is go to the website, therexandrewshow.com, because you can see all the profiles for upcoming guests, previous guests, and you can listen to any of the episodes right from a browser. So you don't even have to go into the store. Got some cool things going on there, lots of fun. So don't forget rexandrewshow.com. All right. Today, I am excited to have this. It might be a geek fest here a little bit. You know, me being a technologist and hanging out with internet marketing and social media and websites and databases and applications. I love this stuff. So I got a great guest. I'm excited to introduce him. He's one of the world's foremost TikTok experts. And so many people have misconceptions about TikTok, what it is, how it can be leveraged. And unfortunately, I think there's sort of a weird reputation to that. So with no further ado, I'd like to welcome Kyle Kaplanis. I just said that wrong, didn't I, Kyle?
It's okay.
Kaplanis?
Kyle Kaplanis. Yeah.
Kaplanis. Okay. I should have asked that before we got started. I'm a knucklehead, but here we are. Okay. So tell us what you're focusing on right now. What are you doing in the world to build your business with what you're doing? And then we're going to get the backstory.
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of people might be listening right now and thinking, oh, great, TikTok. Why is this guy on this show? How does this fit? So what I'm doing in my space right now is TikTok is really growing and evolving, right? It has become the #1 downloaded app in the App Store pretty much worldwide. And it is becoming this massive attraction for people to come to market, to make fun videos. Brands are now starting to be involved. So I run a consultancy agency. I also run a talent management agency. So both of them combined, what I'm doing in the market right now is doing tons of education about what can TikTok do. Specifically, I talk to Fortune 500 brands. So we help them get involved with TikTok and how that works, and partner them up with some of my influencers that we have in our database. And then on the consultancy side, I love working with entrepreneurs, small businesses, and people who are looking to build their personal brand in that space. But a lot of people do have those misconceptions about, hey, isn't it just for kids and all that? So I'm just doing tons of education, like I said, right now.
Fantastic.
In the space.
So how do people get a hold of you, or where do they find your business? Can you share that real quick? So if people are following along today or at a computer or a phone, how do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, definitely. So I did a really fun play on words with my name, and it's called Biz Talk. So it's BIZ, and then like TikTok, it's TOK. So biztok.co is where they can find me and find everything about that. All they have to do is search that word though, and you'll be able to find everything. I've done a good job on SEO targeting that word, so you can find me in the top. But my agency for my talent management, which maybe there could be some brands that are listening that are like, oh, we've been wanting to like dabble in there and maybe do some ad spending or work with any creators in the space. My agency is called Project Z, and it's PRJTZ talent.com. They can find us over there.
Okay, fantastic. That's great. Like I said, I'm so jazzed to talk about this today. So there's some cool things because there's a lot I want to learn, because I'm sure I might be #1 in that misconception box. Okay. So before we get to that, and we start breaking down TikTok and all that good stuff, we always talk about people's stories. How'd you get there? That's the interesting thing. I am a consumer of biographies, love to study people. And, so many people think that people are just overnight successes. Well, that's pretty much a myth. I mean, there are some here and there. You might take a Mark Zuckerberg who, invents a tool in his, college dorm and drops out of school, but there aren't that many of those. It's a
Right.
lot of work. And so
Hmm.
let's do the backstory. Let's learn a little bit about you. Want to go back, child growth and environments and stuff contribute to who we are today as professionals. So I'd
Yeah.
like to drill back and go back to, what was it like growing up? Where'd you grow up? What was your family like? I mean, what'd your parents do? Just so we can kind of see what that does. A little bit about your education, some of your experiences, and then just sort of the trail that got you where you are today.
Sure. Oh man, this is kind of fun because a lot of people don't ask things like that. Maybe they just ask for a brief backstory, but this is kind of cool. So, I grew up, I was born and raised, born in Canada, sorry, and I lived there when I was 8 years old. My mom was a single mom. I never met my biological father. My stepdad was a U.S. Navy officer, and he was working in Whidbey Island, which is in Washington
Yep.
State, and he would cross the border to go to the bars, right? Like in Canada and go and met my mom, and I was 8 years old. So they got married, and we ended up moving to Texas because he got located in Corpus Christi. So I was 8 years old. We moved to Texas, lived there for a few years, and then he grew up. He retired from the military, not really retired, but just ended his term after 8 years.
Sure.
He grew up in Las Vegas, so we moved there. And that is where now I call home because I lived there from 10 years old into my mid 20s pretty much. And I went to school there, and at 18 I played basketball my
Okay.
whole life. Yeah. So I had actually like scholarship opportunities and everything like that. I played basketball since when I met my stepdad. He's actually an amazing coach. I had scholarship opportunities, full ride for basketball. And I was just kind of over it in a sense. Like I needed to take a break because my dad was always like, I literally had to like sleep with my ball, right? Like that's
Oh my
how
goodness.
intense it was. So I just felt
And
like I needed a
uh,
break.
that happens so many times because most people can only endure things for like 7, 8 years and then they need to change.
Yeah.
And when we start programming these kids at young ages, man, sometimes they get to high school and college and like you said, I'm done. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
just like burnt out, right? So,
Yeah.
I kind of went behind my parents' back and joined the U.S. Army. Literally didn't tell them. Went down to the recruiting station with a buddy of mine, and we just
Signed
joined
up.
joined the U.S. Army. And I went home and I said, "Hey, I'm leaving 3 days after I graduate high school." Um, to head off to basic training, and they were just like, "Are you kidding me?"
That's
And my
great.
dad was a little upset because his background is Navy. His dad was Navy, so he was upset that I picked
So
Army.
you
But
joined the wrong branch. You basically
yeah,
crossed over to the dark side, huh? Yeah.
pretty much. But
My
yeah,
father was in the 82nd Airborne and was a paratrooper instructor. So we got a little bit of military in the background too.
nice. Yeah, it was First Cavalry. I ended up being stationed out in Fort Hood, Texas.
Okay.
I did one term though. I don't know. I felt like in my life, I always felt like, oh, what's next? Because it just didn't seem right. And
Yeah.
when I feel that kind of stopping point where it just doesn't feel like my future, I've always taken a risk and just like go and trying something new. So I
Okay.
ended up getting out of the military, moved back to Las Vegas, dabbled into a few things with like sales and marketing, worked in the convention business for a little bit, but I had my GI Bill for education, right? So I was like,
Sure.
what should I do? What should I do? And a friend of mine's kid, he got really sick and went into the hospital, and she was working, she did hair, right? So if she wasn't at work, she wasn't getting paid because she was a hairstylist. So if you're not there, she didn't have one of those jobs.
Sure.
So I said, hey, look, I'll stay with him at the hospital while you work. And during that time, there was people coming in. He was in for respiratory issues, so there was respiratory therapists coming in, and I really was like interested in what they were doing. So I learned more. And after he got out, I signed up for respiratory school. And like a week later, and then I started, maybe like 3 months later, I started classes. So I went to school and got my degree in respiratory therapy, and literally became a respiratory therapist. And I did that for 8 years, and I worked in ER, trauma,
Wow.
yeah, medical healthcare background until I met. So my story is not, it's almost to the reaching point, but this gets interesting as well. So as I was in the hospital, I traveled around like northern Nevada as well, worked in some smaller rural hospitals, which was really cool. Um, then I met my wife. I was singing on an online karaoke app. Okay, this is crazy. Online karaoke app called Smule. Um, and I was just having fun with it. Singing's like, I'm not like the best, but it's just kind of a fun little hobby. So I was
Sure.
singing and I met my wife on there.
On the
So I
app.
met this girl. We started chatting. We sang a song together. We started chatting, and I was like, "Hey, where are you from? Like, where are you at?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm in the UK." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I didn't think anything above it. I wasn't on
Sure.
there to try to date, but we ended up started chatting and basically, like fell in love. Like it's cliche as that sounds, and I ended up moving out to the UK to go be with her for 2 years. And funny enough, we talked right before we hit record that I have 4 kids. So all 4 of her kids are from a previous marriage
Okay.
to their biological father. So they're all 4 of those children are my stepkids. And the youngest was 2 years old, and the oldest at the time was 15, and or actually just 14. So, anyways, we lived there for about 2 years, and then we moved. We decided to take everything, and there was more opportunities in North America, so we upped and moved. And during that time, it was just 2018 when we moved here. We're in Canada now.
Sure.
Um, my daughter started using social media called Musically, right? This
Okay.
was right before it acquired to TikTok. So she started using that, wasn't doing anything with it, like making great videos. They were really fun, really entertaining. And this is my oldest daughter, by the way. And then all of a sudden, the app changed to TikTok right in summer of 2018.
Okay.
And she was using it. And crazy enough, she started dancing on the app. She's a great dancer. We owned a dance school. We actually owned a dance school in the UK because that's my wife's background. She's a dance teacher. She
Sure.
danced her whole life. And so she started dancing. And probably within the first few weeks of her doing that, she started getting a following to like 10K. Like she had 10K.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I was like, whoa, what is this app? Because to get 10,000 followers on the other social media platforms, I mean, you have to grind. That
Get to
takes
work.
time, right? It's a
Yeah.
lot of work. So I was like, whoa, what's going on here? So I started kind of jumping in with her and learning because I was like, this is crazy. Like, are these real people? Like, how's the engagement? And the engagement was amazing.
Oh
So she
my.
went from then she just started growing. Within the next month, she went from 10K to 100,000 followers.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. And then from 100,000 within like 2 months, went from 100,000 to 600,000. And that's when, like, during that time, I was really blown away. Like, oh my gosh, this is a
Now,
real
how
deal.
old was she again at this time?
So she was just 17.
17.
Yeah, when
Wow.
she started doing this.
So it was your
And
daughter that really drew
it
you
is,
into this.
it is 100%.
Oh my goodness. So just a second, I want to recap just so
Sure.
we can
Yeah.
follow the story. What an amazing story, because apps and technology drove your life. I mean, okay, so you had pretty much a somewhat normal history,
Yep.
growing up, a split family. So you had that father and stuff.
Yep.
You play basketball, you get burnout. You decide to go into the military. That wasn't your bailiwick. You decided, I'm out of there. And then you mess around in Vegas. And, when I think of Vegas, I just think of the gambling desert rat. I mean, it's so damn hot down there. And
It is.
I'm pretty much under the assumption that when people founded Vegas, it wasn't in the summer. It was in the winter, right?
Right.
Because it does get cold there. I mean, you
It
can have
does.
some cold then, but dang, in the summer, man, that's just insufferable. I have a uncle and aunt that lived in Henderson, so
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
just like, you're a desert rat, man. And then Vegas, you're a gambling desert rat. So you get in, and then you get into a medical career. That's what a hop,
Yep.
military medical career. And then you meet your wife on an app, and it wasn't a
Yes.
dating app, right?
No, exactly.
What a story. I mean, that's so cool. And then your 17-year-old draws you into TikTok. That's
Yes.
cool. So
Yeah,
your two apps played a major role in your life.
exactly. Major, major role.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
without the first one, I wouldn't even have met my wife to meet my daughter who has a success. So yeah, it
Wow.
was through it was through her success that I started really learning more about it and jumping in. So
Sure.
this is kind of fun as well, is as she was growing, I decided, okay, this is new. There's not a lot of monetization going on as far as
Sure.
brand partnerships. There was at the time there was tons of music. Like the music industry was jumping into TikTok crazily because it's very music based.
Hmm.
So she was doing song promotions, tons of those, which was helping, like a little extra money. But I said, you know what, Jade, and her name's Jade. I was like, where do you think the decision makers are? I said, you know what, they're on LinkedIn. We got to get on LinkedIn.
Sure.
Like, so I helped build her career on LinkedIn. She grew pretty fast. She had like 14,000, 14,000 connections within, like, honestly, a few months time, just because
Wow.
we were doing education on TikTok in the space, and people were
Yeah.
like, what the heck, and who's this young girl talking about this stuff? And
How cool, because anybody
yeah,
that's had any social media experience, to grow to 600,000 on TikTok, to get the 14,000 on LinkedIn, that's almost serious work. If you started today and you didn't really have an audience and a following, that's serious work.
yeah, well, she's at 2.1 million now.
Wow. So how do
Yeah.
we find her? I gotta hop in and find her. What's her last
Yeah,
name, or how does she go as
she
far?
goes by Jade Can Dance, and that's JAYDE Can Dance. And yeah, no, so she's at 2.1 million followers now and still growing. Um, she's monetized her account a lot. She does this full time. She makes probably more than, I mean, she'll make easy I mean, she's already making six-figure incomes.
Wow,
Um,
that's fantastic.
yeah. And
What a great
so
story.
it's really fun. And so with LinkedIn is where I ended up meeting my co-founder and partner for our talent management agency,
Okay.
because he was like, hey, Kyle, like, what are you doing with Jade? And I was like, okay. So I explained, and he was like, man, you would be great partner for our talent management agency. And I was like, but Duke, like, my background's medical. I have zero background. And he was like, no, you don't, you do. Like, what you've done with your daughter to position her this well is exactly what I need, and that takes the right mindset. So I don't need you to have this background. What you have now is amazing. So I was like, okay, so we house a talent management agency, and now we represent some of the largest creators on the app, including
Wow.
Michael Lee, his name is Just Mako on there. He's got 44 million followers.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. So, and we've been able to monetize him. I mean, he makes seven. I mean,
Yeah.
he just this. I think in the last 2 months, he's already made over $1 million. So,
Whew.
with brand partnerships and deals. So our agency basically helps
Match.
bring brands and talent together.
Yeah. So you're getting influencers and
Hmm.
content creators and match up brands.
Exactly.
We need to talk. That's fantastic. That is awesome. So, all right. So let's dig in a little bit here, because there's a lot of people out there that have really big misconceptions.
Hmm.
One right here. Because when I have a TikTok account and I get the notifications on my phone, but it's a lot of kids, skateboard videos and dancing, at Walmart. And so I look at it with a curiosity eye, like, when you pass a car wreck on the road, it's
Hmm.
like, well, what is that? Right. So help us understand how, why the misconceptions, help us understand how, and let's go down the path of how do you really use TikTok to build brands, business,
Yeah.
monetize it, all that good stuff.
Perfect. Yeah. So number one misconception is what you said. It's just kids dancing, lip syncing on the app. Cool.
Sure.
That's exactly the culture that the app emerged from, right? So everyone does have that in their mindset. Also, a lot of people still believe that because when they do download the app, the For You page is that page that you see first on your screen, and that's what the app is all driven by, is this For You page. It's curated to give you all sorts of mixed content in the beginning. So it's going to give you a lot of kid-based stuff, yes, because it still is highly Gen Z. But
Mhm.
to give you a statistic that's very interesting, is over 35% of the app is over 35 years old.
Oh, wow.
So that's a pretty significant number.
That is a complete misconception on my part, because whenever you're advertising and trying to monetize on social media, that's a key number. who's my
Exactly.
audience? And I
Exactly.
had the complete misunderstanding that probably your median age was like 19, and how many 19-year-olds have any money? Well, they don't. So,
Except for my daughter does, because she's
yes, I was
19.
going to say, maybe I need to get a loan from your daughter, right? So, anyway, so
But
yeah, okay,
yeah,
so huge misconception. Wow, 35 percent
percent.
are
Hmm.
35. So that's a big
Over
jump.
35.
Over
Exactly. So
35.
there's people that are 30, like I'm 34. So there's 35 to 18-year-olds that are really the biggest majority source. So if you think about that, there's lots of people who have careers and everything, even in their mid 20s and higher, that have money.
Yeah,
And that percentage is even higher, like in the 50 percentile. So you're looking at like majority of the app is actually between the ages of like 24 to 35, which is crazy. And so people think it's still these little kids. TikTok has done a really good job on switching that. So they went from, yes, driving the hype with the kids, and then they said obviously they need to monetize their account, right, with the ad
sure.
base.
Got to
Or
advertise,
so
right?
so of course you have to start marketing the older demographics, or it'll just take more time to get there in the end. So what they did was they started a program called Learn on TikTok, which has driven tons of people to come in and start educating in the space. So this is where I would suggest for people who are listening and saying, hey, look, this is a great tool for marketing, because you can now educate in this short form content way that is driving tons of views. So the difference between like algorithms between things like Facebook or Instagram, let's just compare things like that.
Sure.
The algorithm is more interest based, within your community. So if me and you are connected, let's say on Instagram, it's going to give you a little bit of what I like. It's going to show me a little bit of what you like, because we're kind of connected. So it's going to give you things that might be found in somebody else's feed, especially on Facebook, where at the end of the day you're scrolling and you keep scrolling looking for something interesting because it's not interesting to you. You don't care what I really like at the end of the day, because we're
Right.
different. So TikTok's algorithm said, "Hey, why don't we gear our algorithm to just be focused on the user 100%. It
Right.
has no outside source of anybody they follow or any of their friends or any of their connections. It's just solely on them." So this is where it gets fun, because as the algorithm gets to know you, it's going to then show you the videos
That you
that
like.
you like. So that's why
Yeah.
people are spending more time
Hmm.
on the app, and it's become the number one source. And people are like going less and less on Facebook, because this is actually more fun, because they're seeing the content they enjoy continuously.
Well,
So,
I'll tell you this, and just from someone who's been in this industry for 35 years, I think Facebook is headed to the MySpace. You
mhm,
know, uh, they've
yep,
done some stupid moves in the public eye. Um, I can tell you, as someone who's marketed a lot on there, it's extremely difficult to do business with them because of all
yep,
their oversensitivity of things. And, it's just a shrinking platform. And, unless they do something to reinvent themselves,
mhm,
and what happens most of the time in technology, when there's a new player that changes the dynamic, whoever was number one in the old dynamic or technology space, they never make it to be number one in the next version.
no,
And so
exactly,
one of the things I like to point out, because a lot of people don't get this, you know, in my career in tech, and let's see, 35 years, I've worked for 8 different companies, and I only quit one of them. The rest of them were bought or went out of business. And
right,
so technology has such a high, fast, rapid change and
yes,
turnover that people think, oh, it'll be here forever. I remember talking to some folks at Uber, and they were almost snotty because, like, we're Uber. And I'm like, you know what? You're not going to be the leader in the next version, because
right,
that's just what happens. And so
exactly.
there's a cycle for that. Well, that's really cool, man. You're breaking some misconceptions, because I had the thought that you'd only monetize to kids. You'd have to find offers and things that kids would buy. But the
Mhm,
fact that 24 to 35 is a majority, I mean, that opens up some wallets. It really
exactly,
does. And
exactly.
the whole thing in social media is they want the eyeballs. They want you as much screen time as possible. So what they're doing, what the other platforms are, starting to wake up to, is they got to serve it up to you what you want, you know.
Mhm.
And then the challenge that a lot of people don't understand is that any of these platforms are an interrupt platform. If you have a product or service or brand, you're not going out there to look for that on any of these platforms, you know?
Yep.
So you have to be able to interrupt people and get
Yep.
them into your conversation.
Absolutely.
And, you know, we look at a statistic in social media, and again, we hadn't really tackled TikTok because we didn't know about it because we're dummies. 81% of all social media advertising, and again, we didn't include TikTok, pretty much fails because they do not do their ads right, and they do not hit that section of the brain that brings them into the conversation. So, man, this is fascinating. So I'm sorry for the cut in, but
no, it's okay. Because like, I mean, speaking of ads, TikTok is very big on, they actually hate, they love ads, right? Of course, a social platform.
They got to monetize the platform.
Come on,
right?
You better advertise. But they position it very differently. They say, don't make ads, make TikToks. And it is completely true because, you know, we've been bombarded with, since social media, we've been bombarded with ads in our face. We can't watch anything without an advertisement. You can't even play a little game on your phone without an ad being bombarded, right? So especially Gen Z, as they're emerging, they've seen ads in the womb. My daughter, when she was 2 years old, knew exactly where that skip button was on YouTube, like quickly, you know, so they're inundated with all these things. So with TikTok said, okay, well, what's been going on here? It's because the advertising, like you said, has been failing and been so annoying and people are over it. So they said, what can we do? Oh yeah, be human, be real, be authentic, be seamless. So kind of before it was like they felt like things needed to be so in your face, like, you know, like, oh, look at the iPhone. And it's like, well, how does that relate to somebody? You need it to be relatable. So what they're teaching on the platform now with their ad space and advertisers coming in is, how can it be kind of seamless to where you don't really even know it's an ad? Where so constantly on the For You page, you'll come across ads, but you don't even know they're really advertising because they're so fun. And I even screenshotted I recorded an ad the other day from KFC.
Okay.
KFC did a brilliant ad on TikTok because it was very culture within the app. It fit seamlessly. The comments were amazing, saying, I'm going to KFC because you guys nailed this ad, because this was fun. Like, I actually enjoyed watching it. And so people are now getting involved with some of these companies in ways that companies have been dreaming for, because it's relatable and they're reaching the audience in a way that people understand. So there's so much
I would love
there
to see that screenshot of that baby.
Yeah, I definitely.
If it took off like that, that's crazy.
Yeah, and it's, if you might not understand it in a sense because it's something, it was like a trend that was going on TikTok. Basically, people were they were doing fun videos where they would look like they were album covers, like the old explicit like hip hop album covers. And so KFC did some really fun ones with like their products and like made them look like really retro, like 90s grunge art, like R&B hip hop.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was really fun. And it was cool to see. It's cool to see brands taking that approach and being like, okay, like this, and it feels weird to them. Trust me. I talk to brand partners all the time where they're like, whoa, like this doesn't feel natural because they're so used to this old method.
Yep.
Especially like with Facebook advertising. I'm like, do not bring your Facebook advertising to TikTok. It won't work. Well, it will not work. So,
well, look, 81% of them are failing right now.
Right?
Why would you bring your failure over to the next one? Right? Come on.
I know, but people still do it. Even when they hear those numbers, they'll be like, well, we'll keep trying.
Yeah. And one of the things, and I know this will be true with TikTok too, people who are putting together ads really don't understand. You know, we have this thing in our brain called the reticular activator, and that's what keeps us paying attention. Best way I can say that is if I bought a new Ford F-150 pickup, I probably never saw that many of them, but now I see them everywhere. Okay. Because that's because we're paying attention.
Yep.
Or like, it's just, that's how we do it. And so I see, on YouTube and Facebook, people are taking the same stupid ads that they would run on the Super Bowl or something like that. Because you have 3 seconds to grab someone's attention.
100%. Exactly.
3 seconds. Now, like on YouTube, they talk about, okay, you've got 5, they give you that 5-second window. If you haven't pulled them in 3 seconds,
Yep.
So if I take, and this is the one, like, I'm not picking on Geico, but goodness gracious, they take their dumb Super Bowl ad or Ford or some of these people and they drop it on YouTube or Facebook, and people rock past that because there's no hook.
Exactly.
There's
Exactly.
no bringing it into the people. And so it's just like, why did you waste millions of dollars, I'm sure, on something that's stupid? Because you can't bring a television ad or
Yes.
a billboard ad, it just doesn't work.
Exactly.
Just
It
doesn't
doesn't.
work.
Especially our attention spans are just shrinking
Oh,
more and more and more.
man.
Like, especially now that there's so much short form content,
Yep.
it's just getting worse. Because I'm constantly on TikTok, a video that's 5 minutes feels like a
Forever.
whole movie.
Yeah.
So it's true. And then I watch these longer videos that I used to watch, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you could have shortened this so much. Like, cut out all the filler crap. Like,
Yeah.
I'm over it now. Like, so it's like, get to the point. So with TikTok, this is a great strategy for people who do a lot of educational content on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
What you could do is take that video that you've done and redo it in small parts, 30-second
Okay.
parts.
Yep.
And I know that sounds
No.
like, oh no, but like if it's, let's say you're talking about a mic, right? Instead of talking about the entire room of like your whole setup for your studio, break it down into small bits. Hey, this is the mic, and just give some quick to the point 15 to 30 seconds of just talking about this, because somebody who's interested in just that part, that's great. Maybe they're not interested in everything, just that.
Sure.
So instead of a YouTube video, you're like, can you get to the part I only care about?
in? Yeah.
Yeah, and if then you could break it down into more. Like, this is the computer I use. This is the stands. This is the lighting.
Exactly.
So people can come to your page and continue to learn, or they can move on to just the parts that they need. So
It's really interesting you say that, because I
Mhm.
do believe that the attention span is shrinking horribly. And back in the day, because I've been doing internet marketing forever, you would see these people like Frank Kearns and some of these people who would put these long format, a 45-minute video.
Yeah.
And I would look at this, I'm like, dude, I'm not giving you 45 minutes of my time. Get to the
Exactly.
point. If you can explain in the first 3 minutes, I'll do it and I'm out of here. Now,
Yes.
it still works for some people, but I just think, we're all hyper connected. It's the average person spends 6 hours a day on their mobile phone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
And of those 6 hours of a day, 80% of it, 6 hours a day online, 80% of that is on your mobile device.
You're right.
And we've become so micro connected, hyper connected, that I just think attention spans are next to nothing. And so I'm always talking to people about 3 seconds, man. That's all you got.
Yeah, exactly.
3 seconds buys you the next 25 seconds, and that's about it.
Yes, exactly. And I'm like that with presentations and everything. I'm like, just get to the point. Like, I hear what you're saying now, move on, because sometimes they like draw it out. And it's so funny how that happens. And before, like, yeah, like you said, back in, just even 10 years ago, you would have probably sat in a 30-minute presentation, and now you're just like over it. Like, okay, let's move on. But what's cool about this strategy and concept of being quick is it's really helping businesses, like if they're coming to the page, because people are seeing their stuff now versus just ignoring it, or not. Like, to sit down on YouTube and click a channel you're not used to is pretty rare. Like, and it takes, you might not be able to learn somebody.
Yeah.
So with it fast, somebody, like, let's say you get a great hook of one video. Now a lot of people are going to know you because it can reach millions of views, and they're going to come and watch the rest of your stuff because they really liked your personality. They had a chance to see it. Whereas on YouTube, you could grind and grind and grind for years to finally reach the people that actually like you, but they never really had a chance to get to know you. But on TikTok, they get to know you. So it's really emerging so many businesses. There are small businesses that are just launching and changing people's lives on there because of TikTok in that space, and them being real. Yeah. So there's like, for instance, there's a couple brands that I've seen that do, I'm just going to say one that I've seen recently is a candle company, right? Okay. Candles, like this young girl was doing it in her house, showing them. They're really nice too, like really nice candles. But she showed the process, and she was like, look, this is the desk I work at. I work from home in this little corner desk, and I do everything by hand. And then her orders, she was like sold out. Now she's like a year out waiting for candles, and
Wow.
has brought in, I think she said in her first month of that video, a couple videos blowing up, she's made like 500,000 in sales. And it, that is a game changer. That could have took her years.
Years on
She
other.
probably would have quit, to be honest, like
Oh
by
yeah,
the time.
absolutely.
So
I know tons of, well, I get on a soapbox about traffic because
mhm,
if you don't have, I mean, let's pretend that you had the world's best hamburger, all right? Or you think
yep,
it's the world's best hamburger, but only your friends and family have that hamburger, know about that hamburger.
yep.
You don't have the world's best hamburger. You have the best hamburger between your friends and family.
Right.
And there's so many people in podcasting products and stuff. They have this fantasy that things are just going to go viral. Well, that doesn't happen.
Mm-mm.
And so now let me ask you a question that came to my mind where you explained a couple things. Does TikTok restrict different industries? So are they doing age specific things like, say, maybe CBD? I won't get into this one, like, marijuana stores, because that's
Mhm.
legal in 37 states now. What kind of target? I mean, are there restrictions for the types of ads that go on TikTok?
Yeah, there's definitely, that is something that I don't see, and I don't think they're heavily
Okay,
accepting of that right now.
sure,
Maybe not strict marijuana, maybe CBD first,
sure.
but I have seen that. I've not seen any alcohol brands, but The Rock, he owns, I believe it's a tequila,
Yeah, he does.
um, and so he is on TikTok, and he did a promotional video with his tequila, pouring it and taking a drink. And I've seen alcohol kind of displayed in that way on the app with a few other like
Okay,
celebrities and stuff.
right,
And that seems to be accepting. That before was not. Any
right.
form of alcohol used to be banned.
Yeah,
Now
I
they're
mean,
kind of opening that up.
when you go out and do ads on YouTube or Facebook, there are definite categories they don't let you do:
Yeah.
pornography, adult content,
Yeah.
generally alcohol, tobacco is extremely restricted. I mean, there's just things that they just don't do. And I
Mhm.
think they've become way hyper recently with all their censorship, both just about any of these platforms.
Yeah.
It's sort of that cancel culture thing going on. So that's
Uh,
good to know. And so they're probably progressing because yeah, we have some friends in CBD and other products that are in that space, and I think that they would love to be able to utilize it because that's a very big market. Okay, so if you go back to the
yeah.
numbers you shared,
Mhm.
35% are over 35,
Yeah.
and then the 50% are, what was it,
Yeah. Between like
under
the ages of
35,
24 and 34.
24.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
so that's 85%. That's a
Yeah.
big hunk of the traffic that's on there. And if there's, how you said, how was it, 44 million downloads or something? I mean, it's crazy. No, it's bigger
Oh,
than that.
it's billion
Billions.
billion
Okay.
downloads. Yeah. So it's just tons. It's the number one app. I mean, TikTok, I mean, Facebook, I believe has, oh gosh, I forgot how many billions of downloads they have. But I think TikTok is slowly catching up, and
Yeah.
they will.
Oh yeah, they'll pass them. Again, it's just the evolution of technology. And I
Exactly.
and I tell people all the time, don't get your panties all in a wad because this isn't going to last that long.
Yeah.
And that's because I have a perspective because I'm 55. I've been here. I've seen it. Spent 30 years, and so many companies that have these dreams and they're going to go big forever, and it don't happen.
Yeah,
One of my
exactly.
biggest employers was a company called Storage Tech that was leader in storage for mainframes and all that kinds of stuff. You drive by their location now, it's dirt. The buildings aren't even there. It's
Right?
dirt. Okay, so people have to keep that perspective in mind. I mean, it's literally it's dirt. It's open land. So anyway,
Exactly. Like I look back at, like, Richard Branson is one of my favorite people in business, and I look back and I'm like, you know what, I'm grateful for him that he took that risk of like starting an airline business and jumping into different things, because if he just stuck with the music, he would have been,
oh,
maybe, like, obviously there's like Virgin Records and behind the scenes of making albums, but like all those stores, if when I was a kid growing up and like getting a CD was a big deal, if you told me in the next short time that there was going to be no more, like it's all going to be digital, I would have thought, yeah, right. Like didn't even seem real. So
that's
it's
cool.
crazy. Yeah, some of these companies think that they're this is going to be it. Like they're here for the long game, but you have to be You can't get too cocky. You really do have to be very thinking innovatively all the time.
And ready to pivot every day. Just ready to
100%.
pivot. So let me ask you a question. Earlier this week, I did an interview with a good friend of mine, Byron Walker. He's one of the pioneers in doing online e-commerce. He has a company called Survival Frog. It's literally survivalfrog.com. And he has been through the whole up and down cycles of online marketing. And we were talking on the podcast about whether hard products or soft products are doing better. So example, I got a pair of tennis shoes, or I run down to KFC, whatever, versus maybe somebody that has a professional course. So, hey, come learn how to do XYZ. You sign up, you get a subscription, you get into their platform. Has the analysis been done anywhere, or have you seen these things where there's a trend where it's better for hard products or soft products or anything like that?
That's a really good question. I have not seen anything like that. There may be some data within that, but I haven't.
Okay.
But I've seen a mix from what I can visualize.
Sure.
Because TikTok has done many trends where products have been sold out. So,
Sure.
for instance, my wife has been looking for this mascara because it's been a trend on TikTok and it's been sold out for like 3 months. Anytime they get it in stock, it leaves. But I've also seen the flip where I had a guest on my podcast that she's a TikToker. She runs a coaching program online, and it's all online based. And with one video, she had 368 new clients, and that one video generated her over $100,000 basically in sign up sales. So it's crazy. I think I would say it's a good fair share of a mixture, to be honest.
Okay. Well, then I got another question, because I'm just a geek that thinks about how do you dial this in. Are you seeing any podcasters leverage TikTok?
Definitely.
Definitely. Okay.
100%. Cool. One in particular, Byron Dempsey. He's based out of Australia.
Okay.
He only shares his podcast. He has not done a single trend within TikTok. He's not done anything. It's strictly podcast. He's grown. He's at like over 200,000 followers. That growth on TikTok he's reached over, I want to say 500,000 downloads now on his podcast. He's growing quite fast, and he does that. There's a lot of people though that have podcasting that are also sharing that within their video content now. Tons. I do as well. It's helped me generate tons of new listeners and followers. So yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, that's great to hear, because I worked with some podcasters and I always kind of poke them in the eye and say, you ever been on Facebook and you've seen a podcaster ad? Well, no, most people aren't doing it there. You ever gone to YouTube and seen a podcaster ad? No, they're not doing it. So it's good to hear that TikTok's a good platform for that, because, everybody needs that traffic. If you don't have traffic, you have your friends and family hamburger. So
yeah, exactly. And no, it's fun because like you do video, which is really smart. I tell a lot of podcasters, look, I think incorporating video within it is genius, because you can use some of this content. Like,
yes,
you could take a little snippet of it, and people want to see that visual aspect. But then, then you still are able to have the traditional audio only podcast. So I think it's important to have both.
Well, you need to be everywhere. You need to be found wherever people are getting their content. And
exactly,
a podcast is nothing more than content. It's not a center of a universe. It's content. And people sometimes often skip over YouTube. And I know we're talking TikTok today, but YouTube still, it's the second biggest search engine in the world.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
And people go there purposely looking for things. I want to see this video. I want to see this DIY.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so if people don't put their stuff out there, they're crazy. And now that I'm starting to get some insights on TikTok, man, I know that we could take some of these clips and put them up there and do those kinds of things. So, I just tell people who are podcasters, if you're not publishing your video, you're missing out, because just on YouTube stats, it's pretty significant. 1 out of 2 internet users hits YouTube at least once a month. So that's huge traffic. Yep. And TikTok's going to be right there and that kinds of stuff. So no, I don't think you can ignore it at all. All right. So what are some of the secrets that you kind of see, you know, without giving away the farm and stuff, that somebody should really be paying attention? So take me through a process here.
Yep.
Let's pretend I'm brand new. I don't
Yep.
know anything about it. Okay. Got a business. What are the best steps?
Okay. Number one, this is, and this is really important. It sounds almost no brainer, but it's something you have to consume. Like some people look at it and they see a couple videos of like, hey, I'm ready to make content. And then just give it some more time. You need to consume, I would say, at least a few weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. For one, you need to let the algorithm change so you can see the content that you really enjoy, so you can get the best ideas of what was working in your industry. So to help you consume, I would use, there's a search feature on TikTok as well. You can search hashtags to see, like within your industry, it could be anything like digital marketing, or let's say you're a real estate agent. Type in real estate, see what people are doing in that space and what kind of videos they're creating, what's
Hmm.
working, see, follow, and then start following accounts of people who are doing well. So that way it'll help your For You page. Then you
Okay.
can kind of understand the culture behind TikTok and what videos actually work, because your Facebook videos or your
Nope.
Instagram, they won't work there.
Right.
It just, that it's different. So consuming is a massive part of it. I continuously consume as well to learn, because
Sure.
like we said, it moves quickly. So things change rapidly. So you have to kind of understand that and be in the sense of it to understand what's working or not. But, and also, unlike other social media platforms where they say, post only once a day on Instagram, or post, on, let's say, LinkedIn, they say like post, 3 to 5 times a week max, or whatever it is.
Sure.
On TikTok, that there's no limit. You could post 200 times a day if you want to. You're not going to annoy people because of the way it's distributed to the algorithm. It's not, they're not, the people following you are not only going to see your stuff. It's just going to get distributed differently to different audiences.
Hmm.
So my recommendation is, once you're ready to create videos, to start with anything you're kind of passionate about. You do not need to be, and I'm telling you this right now, you do not need to be niche focused. You
Okay.
can have everything down to talking about your family, to your kids, to your dogs, and then business, all in one aspect of it. Because, like I said, the videos will get distributed as it is. So if you're talking about dogs, it's going to get pushed to people who love dogs.
Okay.
So if it's talking about business, it's going to get to those people. So that's what's really fun about it, is you can actually bring your whole world
Into it.
into it, versus, other platforms, you really have to be really niche specific and niche focused. And it kind of burns people out, because sometimes you want to talk about your hobbies or your family, you
Sure.
know? So with TikTok, it's fun like that. And I would suggest, I know this sounds really scary, is to try to post 3 to 5 times a day. That sounds really crazy. Also, this too, if that seems a little bit hardcore, start with what you can do, but
Hmm.
you'll realize quickly, once you understand the platform, that that's not difficult to make. Like I said, average videos are between 15 to 30 seconds. A
Okay.
lot of times people can just quickly state a fact. Maybe you know something really well about your industry. Could be like, hey, did you know the number one misconception of TikTok is that they're kids? Over 35% of the app is over 35. Boom, there's a video. How long did that take? That took me like right there. I just said it in 10 seconds.
Sure.
And that's how easy it could be. It doesn't need to be high production. You could literally just say what I just said,
Yeah.
post.
Well,
So
one thing that's gotten pretty cool, and just because it's been so effective, people really don't give a crap anymore about these high quality, high produced
nope,
videos. I mean,
exactly.
think about when you roll through some of the social media platforms and you got some guy doing a rant in his car,
Yes,
but people listen to it, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
It's
I've done
it,
one over the hood of a pickup from a Vista in that overlooks Denver, and people watch it. So who cares, right?
Yeah, it's about being human. Like, I think some of this high quality stuff wasn't relatable to so many people,
Yeah.
because they're like, I don't have the resources like these people, so I can't create. Where
Right.
TikTok is like, look, just use what you have. We all have a phone. Most majority of us do.
Yeah.
Or majority of us have access to one, at least in our household, that you could just do it, stand outside or be in your car and just tell your story. And people realize now that is what all along what we really wanted.
Yeah. It's really
Excuse me.
funny because, just knowing the history of everything, because I've been in tech for so long, everybody walking around with their smartphone has more computing power, memory, and storage than the first mainframes. And these mainframes took up, 15 feet and all this kind of stuff. So
Right?
it's amazing. And people don't even understand that. I mean, you're walking around with an amazing tool. You've got access to the entire world. It's pretty cool. I
Exactly.
think that's really cool. I mean, they talk about if the auto industry had kept up, a car would cost about 75 cents and it'd get 1,000,000 miles to the gallon. So, it's just a fun environment to be in because it's fast paced. Okay.
Absolutely.
So you've got to set up a business account, right? I'm assuming when you get onto TikTok.
Yeah, so there's multiple different ones that you could do. The account that you get set up with once you just log in is just a basic account. Now there's a pro account that you can get. It is
Okay.
free as well. There's two options to it. There's a creator option and then there's also a business option. The business one is really strictly to like specifically businesses who are looking to advertise on the platform.
Mm-hmm.
I would suggest if you're not looking to spend money yet in the TikTok space, like with
Okay.
their ad base, just to create a basic pro account as a creator.
Okay.
And you can still put down that you're a brand or whatever. Um, and that way you can unlock your analytics so you can see things like
Yeah.
watch time and all those important data points that you need. But if you're not looking to spend money on the app yet, you could just leave it as a creator. As
Mm-hmm.
if you're are a business listening, and you do want to do that later, you can change that at any point. So
Okay.
and it's very simple, very very easy to do. It's just like in your profile you go to your settings and it'll literally say do a pro account. um so the important thing is, as well as pick there's a lot of people who when they join TikTok, there's two different things, and people might not be understanding of this, but when they open their app they'll know when they set up their account, it's going to tell you when you're setting up your profile there's a name and a username. So your username is like your at like,
Sure.
so whatever it is, if it's your business or your name, but
Or
then
your
there's also a
podcast or
name.
something like that, right?
Yeah. There's also a name and so many people forget to fill that out. So it just says on the top of their profile, it just says user 123, like, and so it really drives me crazy because there's a lot of people making videos and it still has that and it really
There's
puts
no
people
brand.
off.
There's no
Yeah, like it
brand.
just, so always really pay attention to that part. If
Okay.
you see user anywhere in your profile, figure out how to fix that and take that out because it drives people crazy too. They're
Yeah.
like, oh great, here's
Yeah.
a
Nerd.
newbie, and they'll like
Yeah.
totally call you out on it.
Come
So
back when you're not a rookie. Come on.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
funny.
and another key thing too, like when you do make videos, don't go crazy with the filters. I've noticed so many people, millennial, Gen X, boomers, all those, they see all the like filters and like the special effects and
Yeah.
"Ooh, let me try all these out in one
No,
video."
make it
Just
simple.
be like, make it you don't need all that stuff. I'm
Okay.
telling you right now. Just be authentic and just show up as you are. You don't need any of these glitchy effects and everything or little stickers. Just leave them out. People want to see the real person. Just be you.
That's cool. So you focus a lot on big brands,
Hmm.
but the reality is people just like your daughter can be crushing it without the big brands.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, there's all sorts of monetization ways that you could do once you start building a following as well to make extra income. I mean, merch has been a massive deal with some of these creators that have been. There's people that are launching merch deals at just 30,000 followers, which, to be honest, is really easy to get. You could, so I don't know if you know this too. This is a really good point. I need to bring this up because you know how YouTube, once you reach 1,000 followers and you reach I think it's 1,000 watch time videos, you can unlock the
sure,
advertising, right?
that's
And
right.
make
That's right.
and make some money.
You start to monetize it. Yeah.
Exactly. So TikTok has that as well. So when you reach 10,000 followers, it sounds crazy, but it's easier to
No.
get 10,000 followers on TikTok than it is to get 1,000 followers, subscribers on YouTube. I'm telling you
Right.
right now, um, because there's so many people like watching faster, and you have the opportunity to reach masses quicker. So once you reach 10,000 followers, you can go into the Creator Fund, which is they pay you based off of your views on your videos, which is
Hmm.
awesome. It's a low, I, I think it's like 2 to 3 cents per, like for a CPM.
For your
So per
CPMs, yeah.
1,000 views, it's very small, but it's better than nothing. And, somebody like my daughter who can generate, 80 million views a month, that adds up. So, and there's creators that are averaging like 300 to 400 million views a month.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
which
That's
is more
crazy.
than some of the, which is way more than these big television,
Sure.
ABC, NBC, like,
It's so funny. There are so many YouTube people that are doing news clips and presenting things that have way more traffic than CNN or NBC in these
exactly.
places. And you've got these billion-dollar organizations that are getting crushed by. I mean, one I love to follow is Tim Pool. He's just this down the middle kind of guy, and literally all he does is pulls up an article on the screen. He's got a talk box next to it, and he just talks. And the
Right.
dude has more followers than like half of the media, and you're just
I
like,
know.
that's crazy, man. That's crazy.
I think people are starting to catch on now, especially Gen Z. They're like, and media, like they're really pushed away from them. And I
Yeah.
think that we're going to see a massive change, even like the next decade. I can even imagine the changes that are going to happen.
Yeah, it will. So I have a
Yeah.
question for you. Now, has TikTok integrated their marketing capabilities or tracking capabilities with some of these multi social media platforms like a Hootsuite or Marketing 360 or any of that stuff yet? Or I mean, at least can you get your statistics?
You can get a majority of the statistics through the app. There are a few like third party
Okay,
people that are starting to create these
right.
sources. Like Hype Auditor is one that a lot of people use for Instagram based.
Hmm.
But I think a lot of people were having a hard time getting into the system to track it.
Right.
I do think that's coming. There's way more things opening up. I've been approached by a couple of them to talk about their products. I do think that it will be integrated for sure.
Okay.
Give it like
Yeah,
even give it another
it's a
few
matter of
months,
time.
but 100% it will be exactly a matter
Matter
of
of time.
time.
Yeah, because a lot of people who are publishing social media, they kind of have the philosophy I do, be everywhere.
Yep,
And that's a lot of work, you
it
know.
is.
It's a lot
Mhm.
of work, especially when you're putting creatives out and that kinds of stuff. And then you have to understand that Facebook creatives and YouTube creatives are different than TikTok creatives and all this
Yeah,
stuff. But it's an amazing platform. And I really didn't understand how evolved it was
yeah.
because it really, again, I had the misconception, the kid platform and funny videos and stuff, because I don't know how on my personal account I get tagged on stuff that I'd be like, well, this isn't me. I have no interest in this
Right.
skateboarding video. I mean, sorry.
Just honestly give the app a little bit more time and go out and find the content you like.
Hmm.
And I'm telling you, it'll quickly change. You'll
Okay.
start realizing, oh, okay. You'll never see a skateboard video again if you never engage with it. You'll
Hmm.
you'll never see them again. Um, my content on my page is very um, in my niche market, like talking about influencer marketing or just digital marketing as a whole. Excuse me. And I do get a lot of animals because I
Okay.
love animal videos.
Yeah.
So whatever you interact with, you'll kind of see. And what you don't, it'll stop pushing it out to you because it'll be
Yeah.
like, hey, you don't like this. Okay, we're not going
Yeah.
to show it to you ever again.
Well, you got to do a lot of fresh stuff. Humor always is awesome. I mean, that's
Hmm.
stuff that you get people laughing and paying attention and stuff like that. So, um, how about one of the biggest mistakes someone makes jumping onto TikTok?
Biggest mistake, Hunter, like is giving up too quickly
Yeah.
because how many people like come I've talked to so many people who are now my clients that said I tried TikTok and after like a week I didn't see the results that some people are having and I just quit. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. But I always say this, well, how come you haven't quit on YouTube and you haven't had success in the last 5 years? Or how come you're still like grinding away on Instagram and yet you still haven't had much success? I said, so yes, there are people that are having great success in the place, but you didn't realize that it took them 100 videos to finally get that.
Sure.
So you have to put in the time. I always say try it for at least 60 days of making consistent content,
Okay.
then come back. And I guarantee you, all my clients who have done that are like now TikTok is your number one space. So don't give up too quickly. Give it some time. Another one that people do too, and is overthink it. It's a very simple platform, is just being who you are. Don't think that you need to be something you're not. You just have to be who you are. It does not have to be perfect. Like, the only recommendation I have to say is the only element that's important is lighting.
Yeah.
If it's too dim, just try to go somewhere where it's a little bit more bright. You don't
Sure.
need ring lights. Yes, I have one. We have them in the
Yep,
house.
I do too.
Right. They're a good asset, but if you don't, use a window, use some natural lighting, or just turn on a lamp so it's a little bit more bright. Other than that, that's all you need, is just a phone and just decent lighting, and speak your message. Don't overthink it. If you think, oh, this is something people probably already know, that's another thing too. They probably don't, or they might and want to hear it again. So it's okay. Just share what you know, even if it seems like everyone's going to know this information. Just, you're going to reach people who don't.
Exactly. That's fascinating. Well, one more time, give out your website and how people get a hold of you, because
Yeah,
we got a lot of corporate listeners out there, and I got some interesting thoughts. So yeah, give us your how to get people get a hold of you.
for sure. If you're interested in learning a lot more about TikTok and wanting me to kind of help you out, come check me out on BizTalk, biztok.co. You can find everything there, including my podcast, which is also called Biz Talk. I talk to some of the biggest entrepreneurs, creators, and brands who are using TikTok for business on my podcast. So if somebody's interested in learning more about that, they can dive in and see what these creators are doing and learn from more from them. And yeah, please come reach out to me. They can reach out to me on Instagram and DM me, because TikTok, that's the only feature that they don't really have, is a DM.
Yeah.
They do have DMs, but you have to be both friends in order to reach out. And a lot of people don't want to be connected to everybody.
Yeah.
So Instagram is still a great source for that. So you can find me at my name, Kyle_Kaplanis, over there.
Well, this has been so enlightening, and I've really enjoyed it. But again, I'm a geek, so and I'm an online marketing guy. So yeah, this is right up my alley. So this has been eye-opening. It's been a good time, and I'm really thankful that you came on. We're going to have you back, because there'll be updates on all this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
This stuff turns and pivots really quickly.
It really does.
Yeah. So I think that's one thing too that most people have to understand. You don't have to worry about perfection on any of the platforms anymore.
No.
Take action, action over perfection.
100%.
Because if you feel like you got to get the perfect recording or the perfect video or none of that makes sense anymore. Do stuff, move things around. So anyway, well, Kyle, it's been great. I'm very thankful that you shared your time, your expertise, your insights. It makes the show. This one's going to be a hit. I'm going to tell you this. A lot of people are going to track this one.
Awesome. So I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
Yeah, no, thank you again. I really appreciate it. It was really fun. Great conversation. So
fantastic.
I'm looking forward to re-listening to it.
All right, guys, follow Kyle, and we'll call it a wrap today. This has been the Rex Andrews Show. Goodness gracious, the Rex Andrews Show. Go to rexandrewsshow.com. Follow us on all the podcasts and social media. And I just have one thing to say. Oh, wait a minute. We got to ask you one more question.
Okay.
I got wrapped up in this. Holy cow, I turned into a robot. All right, so we learned so much about people. And sometimes we don't learn another side. So everybody has this concept of a bucket list. And actually, I've got a bucket list specialist coming on. But everybody's got this bucket list, things they want to do, to accomplish, whatever. But there's an opposite of that, because there's always an opposite in the universe. Now, it rhymes with bucket, and it starts with an F, but I'm not going to say that, all right? So what's something on a list that you would never do, that you'd be like, nope, sorry, F that, right?
Okay. Probably hold a tarantula.
That's great. Great. That's one of the most unique. I get so many people say I'm not dropping off a plane. So anyway.
Oh, I've done that. Love it.
Okay, cool. All right, Kyle, thanks very much. Again, folks, thank you for tuning in today, rexandrewsshow.com. And until next time, I want 3 things to say, like I always do. Be safe, be bold, and make it a great day.